is Adam, and this is Seeking Me Productions bringing you another video game review. In this video, I'll be reviewing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, a game distributed by Square Enix, developed by Edios Montreal, most known for the Deus Ex Machina reboot series. And in the late 2010s, Marvel has been very aggressive in trying to widen their scope, like a huge reboot in the video game industry with titles such as Sony's Sonic Spider-Man and even Square Enix's yet another game, that one developed by Crystal Dynamics, Marvel's Avengers. And it's going to be continually going strong with upcoming titles like the Marvel Spider-Man sequel, Insomniac's Wolverine game, and so on and so forth. And this one, developed by Edios Montreal, it takes heavy inspiration from the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Guardians of the Galaxy, directed and written by James Gunn. So the story presented here is like an extended Saturday morning cartoon with heavy 80s color and flair, with this being very much a character-driven story, all the way through. You have a very healthy balance of tone here, where it's like the inspired films have a heavy dose of humor, but yet heartfelt story of loss through a family members, but also the growth of what you find of others in that family sense. Players take on primarily the role of Star-Lord, a character who's like a man-child in itself, just like the James Gunn's adaptation. But this one is very much more on the path of it depends on how the player interacts with the environment here, as the story is actually player's choice. So your direction of Star-Lord is heavily focused on on different types of situations where the game presents you of how he should be interacting with other players. Either it be something serious, something heartfelt, something like snarky, and it very varies throughout the gameplay. And so have fun with it if you playing the game. The game's scope is very massive, as it does takes mostly on space, something that should be expected in the Guardians of the Galaxy's title, hopping from planets to planets. But the game is not an open world title like most AAA video games are in this recent era, as this is a linear game. So the story is very fixed in its format to a point, but the character choice dynamic, it does help with some variety when it comes to play, and also helps in the replayability of the game if you so choose to have another take at the runtime, or the playthrough, if you will. The other members of the Guardians of the Galaxy is mainly the like a new reskin version of the 2008 iteration of the comic, that are also primarily featured in the MCU's film adaptations with Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot. But be sure to keep an eye out with other Marvel known characters as the game progresses. Now, despite the fact that this game is tone-wise and it's inspired by the MCU version, this tells its own story that is heavily inspired with taking cues mostly from the comic books iterations, from how they look, and also from backstories, as this is more of a comic book accurate take on these characters, despite the fact that the tone is very reminiscent to James Gunn's films. Something similar to the vein of how Insomniac decided to pull heavily from the comic books for inspiration to tell their own story. Now, the gameplay is very also directed towards that player choice through the commands of Star-Lord. There's mostly like a run and gun type scenario with very heavy emphasis on how you can utilize your team for assist. Very much so, each team member is given their own set of abilities that Star-Lord can basically ask for his teammates to do, whether it's in combat or in environment traversal. Star-Lord's combat mostly composed of his blaster guns that upgrade over time as story progresses. I'm not going to spoil it how they are, but you'll be able to do some good things with them, not only in combat but also how to traverse the environment. Each character has like about 4 abilities to unlock, while also 2 different types of ways and they can interact with the space depending on what they want. So like for example, Gamora can help you up through high spaces. Drax can most likely smash through like concrete and other ways to go through progress through the levels. Groot can make bridges, and Rocket can go through small spaces or hack technology to help proceed as you go through. Welcome ability is something that helps builds up team morale. It's called a huddle. Basically, it's like a good way to, it's like someone like a PSA or like good prep talk that Star-Lord can do depending on what type of decision you want to do. Either A, it'll help you out, or it can help boost the entire team up with varying degrees of boost in combat. The game features some boss fights from those Marvel characters that you'll see progress. I play this game mostly on start my games off with the hardest level of difficulty, but there's always seemed to be always a pattern like structure how boss fights are played out. So as soon as you know how they interact with them, then you can easily defeat your foes like that. Something that I wish that if a sequel is developed is to actually play each of the team members individually. Something that I really wish I could have done in this game. Despite the fact that they really want players to focus on Star-Lord and how he progresses as a leader himself, it should be nice that a sequel comes to mind, like certain individual levels that you can go out, because in this game and at the story there are moments where each team member is left alone or you can't access them because they're going off on their own path. So something to keep in mind for the developers. Be mindful that you cannot always do ask for commands for your teammates as if they're captured or heavily beaten in combat. You will have to wait a particular moment in time for you to use them and how you see fit in the gameplay. But it's this is very something that you should always pay attention to, because your teammates is very crucial in how you progress the game. Presentation wise, this very much wants to be more seamless in its approach from cutscenes to gameplay. So it's relatively the same type of aesthetic that you'll have. Very much so, the help go off with this the 80 aesthetic. Each planet and the characters are given healthy, vibrant, and detailed environments. You'll see that there are plenty of Easter eggs to find. There's these different points of the story that you can be sure to always go throughout and explore as possible. But to take a point, the game does have a good fun way of ignoring, getting under your skin when you do want to explore the game, and don't be surprised when you're getting called out for it. But it's for good fun, because it's a really rewarding experience where you find collectibles and also different costumes for your game characters to choose from, as there are different homages from their game, basically the Guardians of the Galaxy's history from film and also other comic book iterations. Music is a very important aesthetic they've started putting in this game, despite the fact that you have a nice, good, healthy track of pop and rock music from that era. The game either changes automatically or you can choose it yourself. I won't be having this video the actual type of music they have because of copyright purposes, but something that you can always choose from at will, which also increases during the gameplay's combat. So the better that you play through, the intensity of the music increases. Something similar to how Devil May Cry works with music themselves. Edios Montreal packed a nice, good, healthy amount of content into this game so it can be a nice, good, fun romp from start to finish. I wish that there was a little bit more of a variety in the ways they did combat and also individual characters, as I feel as though the opportunity to play as each individual character independently will help with adding much more variety into the gameplay, as there are some ways in which each character could have played differently. Still is a very solid game in its own right, so I hope that the sequel does take into consideration some of those issues that I did find, but I had fun with the story that was being told, especially with a healthy, lengthy playthrough that even though there's a linear game, it does still have some replayability depending on how the game decides to, depending on how players decided to choose their individual decision making. That being said, it'll be interesting how the game will be, how the sequel will be done, if those decision makings or how the impact of your playthrough impacts on the sequel if you were to have like a good game save. So it's still at the time of that release. But there you have it. This is my thoughts on Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy from Square Enix. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Be sure to look at social media and reviews from TV and movies from Twitter on Instagram, and also follow us on Facebook page as we also post our content there. My name is Adam, and this has been Seeking Me Productions. What did you think of Marvel's Guardians and games? What other Marvel titles, characters should have their video games from either from Sony or Square Enix, as it's being very strong reception in the video game industry. Alright, this has been Seeking Me Productions. See you later.